Hi guys, welcome to this interview where I'm pleased to say I've got Luke Collins, who somebody that I've worked with for quite a few years now. So he first came to me through my brother, and he said, I've got a guy who's interested in doing some property training with you. And I had a chat with him on the phone. I just knew straight away how entrepreneurial he was within probably 5 minutes of speaking to him. I knew what he would do off the back of the training. So, Luke, welcome to this interview.
Thank you.
Tell us who you are. Who's Luke Collins?
I'm from Redcar. I've got 3 kids. For the last 13 years, up to last summer, I've worked in the offshore industry as an integrity engineer most recently, away from home quite a bit. 3 years ago, just over, started buying property, did some training with yourself. It's gone from there really. I've got a few businesses, few properties.
We'll come on to them in a bit.
Yeah, and I've obviously stepped away from offshore now. I'm not doing that full time anymore.
Where did business start for you?
I was working offshore, and me and a friend said, why don't we set up a business? So we're just joking, and then I came across something. It was somebody I worked with actually. He'd had his laundrette by a company called Green Thumb. So I thought, what's that like? What's that? So you saw, Google it, have a look, come treat your lawn. So I had a look. Anyway, by chance, our local area was available. It's a franchise, so it was available. So I thought, right, okay, we'll have a look. So we inquired about it. We bought into that business, not really knowing anything about business between us, but we bought that, and then over the following years, we took it from having 120 customers to about 3,000, and 5 vans, from 1 van to 5 vans. Yeah, we pushed that on. Sort of learned about business there as we went through our mistakes. Yeah, and that was that. We sold that business a couple of years ago now. We got to a point where it was too much for us to do part time. We weren't working in the business. We had staff working in the business. You get to a point where you can only go so far in that type of business, not being involved in it. So the time was right to sell, so we sold it. Yeah, and then I was obviously working offshore, and then I bought your construction company off you, which we've rebranded and pushed that on. That's gone from just specialising in damp proofing to doing all the construction works on our property projects that we've got. And then most recently, bought a timber merchants and fencing contractors. Agreed to buy that last summer. That finally went through end of January this year. So yeah, so we've got timber merchants now, which is a new business to me. It's a new trade, but it's going all right. Yeah. Now we're in the process of looking to add more branches onto that one.
I can't imagine life before you in business. Have you always been entrepreneurial, or I just can't picture Luke that doesn't have business.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing and a bad thing really, because I can't really sit still. I should sit on my hands sometimes, because I'm always up to something, always, looking for the next thing. With my working offshore, I was always I was always thriving, trying to drive on to the next step up, and trying to better myself. And it's similar in business really. I get to one thing, I set a goal, I get there, and then it's like a never-ending cycle really. I don't think I'll ever reach the end.
Yeah, I know the feeling well.
I think when I first started working offshore, I was having 2 weeks off at a time. To start the first bit, I'd sit at home and play Call of Duty. when I was early 20s, sit at home on my 2 weeks off, play Call of Duty, take the dog for a walk a couple of times, make tea. I did that for about 3 months, and then we looked at buying that business, the first business. And ever since then, when we bought that business, I was working I was doing 2 weeks offshore and coming home and doing 2 weeks at home working. And it's pretty much continued really. I don't really, never really had any time off.
You always seem to be busy. What was life like growing up?
I had a good childhood. So my mum and my dad separated when I was young. My mum remarried and so did my dad. So I've got brothers and sisters. I grew up in Redcar. I enjoyed school. Some people don't really enjoy it, but I enjoyed it. The social side of it. I look back and I think at the time I thought I didn't enjoy it, but I did. I started playing rugby when I was about 10, and until mid-20s, I think it was. That was a big part of my life. Yeah, I had a good childhood. It was all right. Yeah.
Did you do well at school?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I didn't reach my potential. I look back and I sort of see a bit of a turning point where I was a bit lazy. I didn't really push myself, and then I think I got to when I left school, I did IT at college, and then I dropped out of that to take an apprenticeship in IT. I ended up doing like web development, so I was working there doing that. I couldn't really be bothered with it, but I did it, pushed on with it, did all right with it. Looking back, I did okay, and then I left there, and then I got a job at RBS in a bank. And I think that was a bit of a turning point. Going through that, I think I was there 4 years. In that 4-year period, it was a bit of I probably grew up, probably matured a bit.
Yeah.
And sort of got to the end of that, and then that was the start of right. I need to start bettering myself and pushing myself on. And I quit that job without having another job to go to retrain, get into engineering inspection, and look to get a job offshore. I remember thinking back, people were saying, "Oh, you're leaving your job. You haven't got another job to go to." Basically, I took a risk. I took a loan out to pay for a load of courses. In myself, I just knew that it was going to work.
Yeah.
I think if you just know something's going to work, it'll work one way or the other. So I quit. I left in the August, and then at the start of September, I went to Ibiza for a week. And then when I came back, I just did loads of courses. I had them all booked in. And I got to the end of it. And then, yeah, I went on one of the courses, it was in December. There was a guy on there, and he didn't really get it. So I was helping him out of it, giving him a bit of a, just because I'd figured it out.
Yeah.
I was showing him how to do it. Got talking to him, and he said, "Oh, what qualifications have you done so far?" So I told him. He says, "All right, send us your CV if you want. I'll see if I can get you a start." I thought, "All right, okay." I thought it was like same as me, just starting out. But anyway,
Yeah.
he was a rope access manager for one of the big inspection players. So anyway, I sent him my CV and he got me a start in the January. So that was pretty good. I look back at that, and I think that's just a good example of help people.
Yeah.
Not asking for anything back, and it worked out. Yeah, so that was the start really of pushing myself on. Took that leap and just went for it. I think ever since then I've sort of been not been averse to taking risks.
Yeah. So obviously you were friends with my brother, so we've had that initial phone call. What was the change then? What was the thing with? Did you know then you wanted to come offshore, or was property going to be a thing on the side?
I think at that point, I was getting where I wanted to go. In that role that I was doing, and there wasn't really another step up offshore.
Yeah,
I would have had to come and work onshore or something like that. So I'd sort of reached the level of income that I could get offshore. in that type of role. And I was obviously I'd sold the other business, and I think it's like I've sold that, now what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
I'd sold the other business to get my time back and things like that, and then I subconsciously thought, right, I need to fill that time now. And then I'd seen your Facebook ads, and I thought, what's this? Yeah, so I looked into it. I think it was early days then, wasn't it? You'd only done one elite course.
Yeah.
So there was only 4 people that had done the training. So I suppose it was a bit of a leap of faith, but it was like the old thing of, if you know it's going to work, it'll work. So yeah, at that point I hadn't sort of decided that I was definitely going to leave offshore until I'd got to the point of doing the training, and by that point I'd bought a few properties.
Yeah, you were. I want to go into that more, because you were rapid, weren't you? Like, some people wait for the perfect moment. How many properties had you bought before you even went on the training?
I'd bought 3, so we'd completed on 2, and the third one was about to complete. And
that was just purely from being a part of the group, and
yeah. Oh, actually 4 it was, but the 4th one was going through.
Yeah,
I won it in an auction the week before the course. Yeah, and that was basically what I was doing. I was finding the deals. I think you give me the little formula. If it stacks in this, then it's not a bad deal. Well, have a look at it. And then I was sort of stacking the deal and putting it in the group and saying, does this work? Some of them, everyone was coming back and saying, no, too expensive or whatever. Your build costs look out. But then the ones I bought, they're stacked up. So yeah, start.
And what was that first one?
It was a little 2-bed bungalow on the Parklands.
How much did you pay for it?
41,250.
41 grand for a bungalow. How much was it worth on day
actually,
one?
no, sorry, it was 39,000. That one.
39
grand, yeah. Yeah, and we got it revalued at 75.
How? So if people are watching this now, they're going, how do you buy it for 39 and have it for 70? Did you have to do works to it?
Yeah, we did, yeah. So basically, it had gone to auction and failed to sell. It didn't sell at auction. So I'd gone in with a cash offer, said I'll complete in 2 weeks. So they accepted, so we bought it. It needed a bit of work. I think we spent about 6 or 7 grand on it. Wasn't a great deal. We turned it round. I think it took a couple of months. I think it took about 2 months, but we turned it round. I remortgaged the first 4 properties in one go on one product.
Yeah.
So I bought that one, refurbished that one, rented it out. The one next door came up. So we bought that one as well. That one was at auction as well. I won that one at auction. For some reason, it was in an auction in London, so I was the only bidder. So that was an easy one. So we bought that one 41,250. So I had two next door to each other. Refurbished that one, and then there was a 3-bed end terrace around the corner. So I bought that as well. So they were fairly easy refurbs. And then I bought one on Ripon Road in Redcar, we bought that before auction. I got it at a good price. It drew me in because I used to live at number 2 when I was a kid, and then I lived at my first house that I bought was number 50 on that road. So I think I was buying that even if it wasn't a good price.
Yeah.
So we got that one and refurbished that one, and we refinanced all 4 of them in one go.
How big's the portfolio now?
At this moment in time, it's about 4 million, just over. But we've got another one going through at the minute. We've got buying a farm on the moors with 37 acres. And when that's done, the first stage, we don't know what we're going to do with the other 35 acres yet, but the first bit, once the farm house is refurbished and the outbuildings are converted into holiday lets, that'll take the portfolio up to about 5.4.
How do you do that in that period of time? How quick have you done that?
So that's just over 3 years.
3 years. So how does someone go from scratch to plus 4 million in 3 years?
Do you know what? It's doubled in 12 months. So for the first year, I was just buying single let properties, one at a time, or a couple at a time. And then we bought a multi-unit freehold block of 3 flats and a shop. And then we started getting into HMOs. And then that was the first year. And then for the second year, I bought 11 properties in 12 months. 12 months.
11 in 12 months.
Yeah. And it was just a case of recycling the deposit. So I remember putting a post in the group that I was buying 4 properties with 1 deposit. just kept flipping it around and recycling it. And I bought 4 properties in, I think it was about 9 weeks. It started off with the proceeds for selling my business, one of them.
Yeah.
And then we just kept flipping it around, got a bit creative with it. And then that year we bought 11, just knocking them off one after the other. But they were all just single lets or HMOs, with 1 multi-unit freehold block. And then I started looking a bit bigger, being a bit more adventurous, looking at special to residential conversions. So that's where the big numbers come in. So it took forever to go through in the end. But I bought a commercial building in Middlesbrough and converted it to 14 flats. So that's added a big chunk on. And then we bought the Clarendon Hotel in Redcar, which has added another big chunk on. And yeah, I've done them in the last 12 months, along with a 9-bed HMO in Redcar.
What have you learned? If you had to do it all again and you were starting again now, what would you do differently?
I'd refine my strategy. So I started off just looking at single lets.
Yeah.
And that was my thing. I was just, right, I'm just going to get loads of single lets. Single lets are good. You do them, put a tenant in, forget about them. But now I'm looking at high cash flowing properties like HMOs, serviced accommodation and blocks.
Yeah.
I found that the work getting a single let over the line it's not much more to get something bigger over the line. So if I was going to rewind 3 years now, I'd just go straight in at things like holiday lets, HMOs.
Did you need that though to get the foundations? Like, did you need to do that?
I probably did, yeah. I mean, I learned a lot on them refurbs because before that, apart from my own house, which I refurbished over about 5 years, didn't do any of the work myself. I didn't really know anything about refurbishing a house. Some people say I still don't, but I know more now than I did then.
Yeah.
So I suppose each one of them came with its own unique issues, which, to learn for the next one, isn't it? So I suppose if I'd have jumped straight in at something bigger at the start, I wouldn't have known that. But you don't have to go straight in with something like with a big construction project. But the work between a single let going out on a 6-month AST and a single let, a single house going as service accommodation.
Yeah.
If it's in the right area, it's very similar. You just have to furnish it. Obviously, it generates a lot more. So, yeah, I think I'd probably refine my strategy and, I'd end up with better cash flow.
One of the interviews, the testimonials that we've done, there's quite a famous quote now of you saying that you'd heard a comment about me that behind every scheme there was a schemer, and I play that one. And obviously, you say on that when you were being interviewed that you were told behind every scheme there's a schemer, and if Steve's this is the scheme and Steve's the schemer, I'm happy with that as long as it helps me get to where I want to be. Why did you want to do the training? Why didn't you just jump in?
To buy them first few properties, I got the information from being in that group, and I wouldn't have been in that group to get that information if I hadn't you know, paid for the training. It just so happened there was 3 months leading up to the training, and I don't like sitting around.
What did you make back then before the training? Because I know you'd made crazy ROI before you'd even started from what you learned in the groups.
Yeah, well, I mean, the equity gained in all of them was, I mean, it was probably 30 grand in each of the 3 properties. So that's, you know, well, say 20 to 30 grand on each one. So if you go on a lower figure, 60 grand in equity.
For something you've paid 7.5 grand for.
Yeah.
I think it was before we were even VAT registered.
Yeah,
back
it was
then.
7 grand. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I tell people. I'd cover the cost of it by buying that first one.
Yeah.
That was it.
What do you say to people if they say everything you need to know is on the internet?
It's just nonsense, isn't it?
Why?
Well, I watch loads of stuff on YouTube. No, you don't get all of the information.
Yeah.
To a detailed, intrinsic level. You just get a rough idea on how to do it.
Yeah.
But that's not going to get you where you're going to go, where you want to go, because you're still going to get things wrong. It's going to cost you money. So
yeah,
I watch all sorts on YouTube, but unless it's like this is how you paint a fence, or this is how you put wallpaper on, it's not a step-by-step guide, is it?
Yeah.
It's just this is roughly how you do it.
I've heard, it might have been Jessen, who's a trainer himself. I think it was him that I heard say that somebody had quoted, you can get all this information off the internet. And he said, it's a little bit like somebody giving you loads of ingredients for a cake, but without a recipe. And training is the recipe. That's exactly what to do with all of this stuff and in what order.
Yeah, definitely. It's like part of the training is pointing out where you're going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Because it's the failings and the things that you get wrong are quite often the same. You know, if you're going to buy a single let property, there's certain things that you look out for. And if you don't know what you're looking out for, you're going to trip up, aren't you?
Why are you comfortable investing that? Because it's you invest, clearly you've done it before you even come to me, investing in training to get yourself offshore. You've invested in training to succeed within property, and you've continued to invest in yourself, and you invest in business training and stuff like that. What's the reason you pour so much into yourself?
I suppose I'm confident in my own ability. So you can spend all the money in the world going on training courses. You can go on every training course you come across, but unless you actually implement it, and you've got that want to succeed, what was the point in going on the course and spending the money? So if I put money into something and I'm going to invest my time into it, I'm going to make it work. So I think it's down to the individual as well as anything else. So I suppose I was confident that I was going to get that money back because I knew I was going to make it work by hook or by crook, one way or the other. It was down to me to make it happen. So.
What's the biggest challenge you've had since you've been investing in property?
Oh, I've had a few. The early one, me and Tom, one of my business partners, for people that don't know, we joke about this. So after I'd bought them 4 properties, myself and Tom, who I've known since senior school, so we set up a company together, and we agreed to buy pick nets in Redcar, the old pick nets fishmongers and the flats above it. So we'd gone a bit too quick, I didn't realise how long it was going to take to remortgage my first 4 properties. We'd bought that property. We were just waiting for it to go. We'd completed on that, and then I was waiting for the remortgage to come through. We were always expecting it to come sooner than it did, and nothing ever happens as fast as you want it to. So I ploughed all the money into getting pick nets refurbished. Tom had put all his in, and it was just a case of basically waiting for that remortgage to come through. Tom jokes that like that time in September he was looking for change in his van to buy his dinner. And I remember waiting for the remortgage to come through. On the day it was coming through, I had all my direct debits going out my bank account. I think you've got until 2 o'clock. That's if you have to get the money in by 2 o'clock or the bounce, basically. So I was waiting for the money to come, and I was like on the phone to the solicitor, it's complete. I was like, hurry up and send the money. So I was on the phone to this solicitor, he was like, we've sent it. I'm thinking, it's not in yet, hurry up. Anyway, it landed about 5 to 2.
Today.
Yeah, so it was like really cutting it fine. But I think the 6 weeks leading up to that were really proper stressful for me and Tom. It was just because we'd overstretched ourselves, and that it was a learn. We learned from it. We felt the pain from it, and then we learned from it. But yeah, that was difficult. I think this last 12 months has been really tough. It's been tough for everyone. Nobody had COVID in the business plan. We had a few things. We had four projects going through, and it's made them all harder. We've had some wins along the way on some of them, where we managed to negotiate 40 grand off one of them, but finance became difficult. So for the projects that we're doing, the bigger ones, the plan was to the money we had initially to use that for the first stage of the works, of the conversion on the one we've got in Middlesbrough, and then the plan was to get it revalued, draw that on the next bit, get it revalued, draw it on the next bit, just for the phases of the conversion. So phase 1 was going to be ending second week in April 2020. So we had enough money to get us to that point a little bit more. And then obviously middle of March, COVID came along. And then we got to April, we'd run out of money, and no lender in the market was interested in lending us. The lender we'd gone to originally weren't interested. They just said, no, sorry, can't help you. So I had this big, massive building that we're trying to convert with no money. So basically, I'd kept it going with money I had.
Yeah.
So I'd pushed it along for as much as I could, pushed it along, and then we managed to find a lender in the summer. I think it was June or July. So right, okay, we'll just refinance away from the other lender. So we set that ball rolling, and then they'd had money issues, so they pulled out after about 8 weeks. So then we had to go find another lender. So we found another lender who were happy to do it, and then we managed to refinance it, but it wasn't till October. So I'd sort of propped it up from April to October to get it to that point. And then when we got that finance, we couldn't get enough finance at that point to give me all my money back and pay for the next stage, because everything had just tightened up. Yeah. So it was just a case of, right, okay, we'll get that, and then we pushed it on from there. But yeah, for the last 12 months, it's been difficult. It's been the same story for some of the other projects. We had issues with materials, various issues, but mainly finance. Refinancing just seems to take forever. It's either non-existent or it just took forever. Yeah, and I know that pain as well, because we had exactly the same thing of all the lenders just literally. We were, I think, 3 days away from getting 300 grand drawdown, and just pull the plug on us. And that, I think you've got to have that calmness. Would you agree in developing? Because most people in them situations, I think that most businesses that go bust could have rode the way out of it if they were just a little calmer and focus more on the solution. Yeah, I think so. I think some behind the scenes sometimes I've been a bit frantic. Amy will see that, stressing out over it. But yeah, ultimately I think I've kept calm throughout, look for ways we could make it work, solutions, and things like that. And they've always came. Solutions have popped up. There's always a way out. There's always a way. And up to now, we've always found that way. And things it seems like we've weathered the storm and got past it. Now we're getting to the end. All the projects are just about finished. But yeah, I think staying calm is key.
What will the properties bring you in once they're complete? Now that you've rode that, what's the benefits of all of this?
So the gross, I don't know what the net figure is off the top of my head. The gross rent roll, excluding the farm that we've got going through at the minute, the gross rent roll is going to be about just under 600,000.
So worth it.
Yeah. It's had some stressful times, but that's it. I focus on, right, we're nearly there. When we get there, I'll find something else to stress out over.
And what about the one thing that with yourself, Luke, is obviously you've done the elite training, you're now in the mastermind group, is your creativity, some of the ways that you're structuring some deals with no money down. When people say it can't be done, you need a lot of money in property. So how are you doing that?
There's always a multitude of different ways to do a deal. It's just whatever works best at the time. For some of the bigger projects, what I've done is I've found the deal, negotiated it, worked out all the construction side of it, the build, and then I've structured it for the finance, and then I've looked to sell shares to people on the basis that they put X amount of money in. So I'm always fair with it. I structure it so that it's a really good deal for them.
Yeah.
And then so the two big ones we've done in the last 12 months, I've not put any money in, apart from when we ran out of money and I had to prop it up, which obviously wasn't the plan. But to start with, I hadn't put any money in. So I'd sold shares in the business on the basis that they put the funds in. When we refinance, they get that money back and then they retain the shares.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty good deal for them.
Yeah.
As soon as they get the money back, it's infinite ROI, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anything after that is a profit. So.
Yeah, and that's it. It's just being creative, and I think you were obviously one of the very first ones when I opened the mastermind, and it's 3 years in now. I believe this mastermind now is the strongest group that we've had. What's your takes on that, and how much does a mastermind group help you with your progress?
Yeah, I think this is when we were in Dubai earlier on in the year. I think I realised then it's in a good place. Our group, it is strong. Everyone in there brings something to the table. There's a variety of different people in there. We've got business people, builders, all sorts, and everybody plays a different part in there. And I think it's good because if I need answers for something, there's someone in there will have the answer. So that's usually my first port of call.
And how much does that help when you within a mastermind group? So if anybody's watching and you don't know what it is, I have a high-end group where there's 8 people in there plus myself, and we're just working on each other's. It's no teaching at that level. We're just helping and supporting each other. What's that reassurance like, knowing that you've got another 7 people plus myself in that group just to get answers off and to support you, really? Yeah,
I think it's really good. I'm probably a bit of a maverick where I go off on a tangent on my own. I'm sort of I don't really work with people on a day-to-day basis. So when you're in that position, it's easy to sort of lose track.
Yeah.
Because you're not accountable to anyone. You're not running anything by anyone. It's sort of just you in your own little head. Whereas in our mastermind group, I can put things in there or put it across to people when we meet, and there's, including yours, there's 8 different responses.
Yeah.
And they're all slightly different. Each person picks something slightly different out of it.
Yeah.
And it's lots of different angles from very competent people.
Yeah.
So it's handy. It's handy. It's just, another 8 sets of eyes. And
you're going to be running your own mastermind group this year from outside of the academy, which we've built up. What's that like? The fact that you came in, you've been trained yourself, you've worked your way up, you're in the mastermind group, and I can say that everybody within the PIA looks up to you because of what you're doing, your creativity, the results you're getting. What does that feel like to be running your own group?
Yeah, really good. I see it as an opportunity again, really, because it's another group of people for me to work with.
Yeah.
On a regular basis. So rather than just having our group, I've got another group where I can help them. They can help each other, but it's we're in a group, so they'll help me as well. We'll help each other out. But yeah, it's good to be able to help other people and have another group to jump in on. It's looking back, I would have really struggled to take that leap into doing the bigger projects that I've done if I wasn't in the mastermind. Some of the advice I got at the start sort of gave me the confidence to go and do it, because I knew I had a fallback. It wasn't just me winging it. I had a fallback of people that knew what they were doing.
And that's what Napoleon Hill calls it. He says a mastermind group's a safety net. It's a fail-safe. And you're going to be able to bring a lot to other people within that group, no question at all, obviously, with your experience. So I want to move on a little bit. So you've been building your properties up, started the buy-to-lets, HMOs, serviced accommodation. You've built that up to over 4 million, and you're looking at a bigger deal now. And then you bought you bought a couple of businesses. So you bought my old construction business, and you bought Timber Merchants. Tell us about them.
Yeah, so the construction company, we took that on. Well, I took that on. There was just me and one admin staff, and the lads came across with it. So we took that on, and now it's obviously doing all the it's running all the construction on our sites. So it's going through that business. So we're doing all the work ourselves and just subcontracting certain bits out. It's been handy because at the moment it's hard to get decent trades, but we've got certain trades on staff, main trades, so we've been able to push on and ultimately save some money on just hiring everyone as subcontractors. So we pushed that one on, and then the Timber Merchants. Last year, well, probably 18 months ago now, my plan for it was start of 2020. My plan for 2020, one of my goals was to acquire another business that worked in synergy with the businesses we already had. So I didn't know exactly what that was, but I knew it would be something, along the lines of where they can all work together and buy from each other and sell to each other. And I started looking to see what was available, and I saw this one, Westwood Timber in Darlington, or Dalton-on-Tees, just outside Darlington. I thought I'll have a look at that. So I'd inquired, went to see them. As soon as I walked in, as soon as I met the owners, and I spent 5 minutes with them, I knew it was a good business to acquire. Basically, it was sort of untapped, in that they'd set the business up 19 years prior. The website, they'd had a family member make it. It's just like a one page. There's nothing to it. It's not a proper website. They don't have any, they don't spend any money on Google ads. The Facebook page had 200 likes or something like that. But they didn't really do any marketing. They didn't spend any money on marketing. They just used pen and paper for everything. They didn't have an EPOS system. So everything was just wrote on bits of paper. So straight away I thought, well, you don't do any marketing. You haven't really got a website. When I spoke to them about marketing, I said, why don't you do any marketing? I said, well, if we do marketing, we'll get more people through the door. We'll get more trade. If we get more trade, we'll have to hire more staff. I don't want to manage any more staff. So we don't do any marketing. We're all right as we are. And that's fine. I could completely see where they were coming from with that. But that made it a great opportunity for me. Because it was untapped. there's lots of things we could do to drive more trade in the business. So yeah, at that point I knew fairly quickly I had to go back and do my due diligence and make sure it's stacked financially. And it did. So we put the offer in. It took forever to go through, but we got there in the end. Basically, that was down to COVID as well. But we got there in the end, complete on the 29th of January this year. Yeah, and we're slowly implementing our strategy to drive it on to the next level.
What's the secrets to having a successful business? What have you learned? What does a business need to thrive?
You need good people. You need a plan. I think if you just go in and try and wing it and not really know where you want to go and what you want to achieve, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to bob around, not really focusing on anything. We've found with this business, the issues that we've found, they didn't really have any processes or procedures, or what they did have, it was just verbal. People just knew what they had to do. So we're trying to set it up so there's a procedure for everything you can do. Everyone's got their roles and responsibilities, and everything that is in their roles and responsibilities there's a procedure for, and they understand it and they're signed off on to confirm that they're fully trained up on it and they're confident. So there's accountability there, and then there's everybody knows what they're doing, how they're doing it, and how they need to do it, how we expect them to do it, and then it's pretty rigid. So we're just trying to get there at the minute, and then once we've got that, and they have to report up the ladder, and there's accountability there, we should be able to step away a bit more. And then obviously we're trying to drive more traffic at the business. With the website's going live next week, I think. We've got some Facebook ads going.
How important is marketing for a successful business? Because you said that the business that you bought didn't have it. Yeah,
it's really important. They'd got to where they wanted to go without really marketing the business, which is fine, but I don't want to stay there. We want to push it on to the next level and acquire other businesses to bring into the group. So we've got other branches, and I think to grow, you need to market yourself, don't you?
What is the vision?
The vision is to add, for this business, is to add other branches. So we're going to be doing some direct marketing to other potential acquisitions in the next couple of weeks. We're going to be contacting them just to see if other businesses are, of interest, if it's of interest to sell to us. I don't think we'll have any issues finding other businesses to acquire to add to the group. So we're going to grow that out, and then ultimately, further down the line, I think that it's a case of probably build it up so it's big enough to sell to one of the big players.
And that's the plan.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Retirement?
I don't think I'll ever retire.
I said that earlier myself.
I'll always do something.
Yeah.
I get bored easily.
Why is that?
I don't know. I just don't like standing still. It's not just I don't like standing still. I don't like going slow either. I always want to feel like I'm getting somewhere. And looking back, that's probably been my driver. Always go to the next thing before I finish that one. I've got the plan for the next one. I think that's.
Is that because you love what you're doing, or you're driving for money?
No, it's well. Look, everybody wants security and the freedom that having plenty of money brings, but I think I just enjoy it. I like achieving things.
Yeah.
I like achieving something. I like setting out to try and do something and achieving it, and then thinking, right, I've achieved that now. What's next? So that's why I think, looking back at my goals that I set in when I did elite. I think I surpassed them in about 18 months or something, and I haven't stopped. You know, I set the goal. I set where I'm going to go, and then when I get there, I've already, you know, moved the bar further. So I think I'll just always continue to do that.
What's the best piece of advice you've ever had?
That's a good one. Somebody said to me, nothing's ever as good or as bad as it seems at the time. It's not really advice, but it's good to think that when the shit hits the fan.
Yeah.
I think that, right, nothing's ever as good as bad or as bad as it seems at the time. So tomorrow it won't be as bad as it seems today. So we'll get
Was it
there.
me who said that? Because somebody said that to me.
I think it was probably me that said it to you.
Was it?
Yeah, no, it was when I worked at RBS. Somebody said that to me, and it stuck. And I always think that now. Nothing's ever as good as it or as bad as it seems at the time. When someone's flapping, I say that to them. I think sometimes they look at me and think, you're taking the piss.
Yeah.
You know, because when you're in that zone, like, you don't want to hear that, do you?
No.
So you don't want someone to play it down.
But you are
that's what
naturally.
you
Would you agree you are naturally a calm person?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think there's times where everybody loses it a little bit, but I think it's not. It takes a lot to push me beyond the point where I'm not thinking straight.
How does somebody gain that? If somebody's watching that, how do you become calm? What's the secrets behind it?
I don't know really. I think I'm quite, you know, calm and placid by nature anyway. I've always been quite quiet and reserved and chilled out. I don't know. I think just try not to react before you speak or act. Think. Just give it 5 minutes before you blow your top.
Yeah.
Before you ring someone and kick off, or, you know, react to something. Just wait 5 minutes and mull it over. I have had to work on it, and I am getting calmer, I think, as time goes by. But I think even looking back, even when I wasn't calm, I was probably calmer than a lot of people. So,
who inspires you, and why?
It's a tough one. Do you know, there's different types of inspiration. So there's goals, inspiration, you know, trying to get where someone's gone. You look at, obviously, you're watching Warren Buffett and how he operates.
Yeah.
He's a calm, you know, he's calm, isn't he?
Yeah.
He studies something before he acts. And I think that's a good way to go. And looking at what he's achieved, it's crazy, really, what he's achieved. But then looking back at like a family-orientated thing, I always looked up to my granddad, because he was a great family man, and he was, you know, everyone looked up to him. Yeah, so I'd like my kids and my grandkids to look up to me in the same way that we looked up to my granddad. So,
what was the qualities that he had that made you look up to him?
He was funny and he was calm. You know, he was placid and he just had a lot of time for people. Yeah, he was a good man.
What do you want people to say about you at your funeral?
If they say that I was a nice person, and they could trust me, and I was honest, I think that goes a long way. If they could say that to me, I was a good father. I think that's. I'm not really interested in people saying he's bought this many houses, or he's done this, or he's done that. It doesn't really bother me.
Yeah.
yeah, it's other qualities I think are a bit more important.
Do you think that helps you get investment? Because you do work with investors, don't you? That they seem to attract to you. Why are people keen to work with you?
To be honest, I think I'm a safe pair of hands, and I think I convey that quite well. When I speak to people, or when I put something out there where there's an opportunity for people to work with me, I think when I put it across to them, it's straightforward to understand. So I explain it well and try and answer the questions they've got before they ask them.
Yeah.
Questions that I would want answering on me, on what I've done, to what due diligence I've done, how I know that it will work. And I think, I don't know, I maybe come across as quite a trustworthy person. I would hope so.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, I think the way I am, I'd rather lose money than somebody else lose money.
Yeah.
And I've had that in the past where I've I've been in a situation long ago. I've been in a situation where it's a case of I'll just pay it myself. That's fine. That's just how I am. I wouldn't take risks with somebody else's money if I wouldn't do it with my own. I wouldn't use somebody else's money for something. I consider all the risks and spend it like it's my own money.
Yeah.
Basically.
And I think that definitely shines through you. If anyone's looking to get investors, because you do this really well, what would you say is the 3 top tips you'd give someone if they were trying to find investment to help push their property journey on? What's the 3 top things that someone looking for an investor should have?
You've got to know your numbers. There's no point in going to somebody with a deal and them asking you a question and saying, "Oh, I don't know," or trying to wing it, trying to blag it, or saying it'll be roughly this. It needs to be. This is this is the deal. This is all the numbers.
What happens if somebody struggles with figures? That's not particularly their strong point.
Find someone that someone that knows figures. Run it by someone before you try and put it together, stack the deal, and then run it by somebody else.
Yeah.
Get them to look over it. Go to somebody else and say, "Look, I'm going to put this to investors. Can you have a look at it?
Yeah.
See what you think. Ask me any questions. Be harsh, because then at least I'll have the answers for when they do come."
Yeah. So that's number 1. What are the 2 points?
Be honest. Yeah, be straight up with them. Don't try and make the deal sound better than it is. Just be honest, because if you're going to try and make it, if it sounds too good to be true, it might be. So if it sounds too good to be true for them, they're going to doubt you. So yeah, be honest.
So that's 2. And third point?
Know
your numbers, be honest, and
just try and build rapport with whoever you're dealing with. If you build rapport with them and that deal doesn't work for them, they might come back to you later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's as simple as that, really. Just try and be friendly with them and explain to them what you are, what you're trying to, who you are, what you're trying to achieve, and what you can offer them, what you can do for them. And if that deal doesn't work for them, the next one might.
Okay, I've got a couple more questions. 3 points that you'd advise somebody that's starting out in property. They want to start on their journey. Maybe they want to change career. They want to make a passive income from property. 3 tips you'd give them.
Don't procrastinate. start now, get perfect later type thing.
Yeah.
If you hang around, the best time to start is always now. You know, there's no point waiting. That's one. Something I've struggled with. Don't worry about what other people think.
Yeah.
Some people look at it and think, "No, that's not right. It's a load of shit." That. And if you worry about what they think and you don't do something because of what others will think, then you just hold yourself back. And a third one, lean on people that have already done it. Ask questions. If you're going to come up with something, if you come up against an issue, 9 times out of 10, someone else in the group has already come up against it.
Yeah.
And they'll be able to give you the answers.
Getting the right support, I'd absolutely agree. Luke, it's been a pleasure. If anybody's watching this now and this is the first time they've come across you, tell us what services you offer and also how can people find you?
You can find me on Facebook. That's probably the easiest way to catch me. If you send me a friend request, though, I get loads and loads from loads of people I don't know. So drop me a message to back it up. We are looking for other projects and other people to work with. So if there's anybody out there looking to joint venture or come in on something, feel free to drop me a message and we'll have a chat. What platforms? What's the best way to get you? Did you say on Facebook? Facebook, yeah. And what they're searching for just underneath John? Just Luke Collins. Yeah, if you search Luke Collins, I'll come up. I'll pop up. Luke, it's been a pleasure. There you have it. Luke Collins. He's gone from 0 to a 4 million portfolio in 3 years. That's growing. He's got plans for other things. He works with investors. He's buying and selling businesses as well. He's a part of my PIA Mastermind group. He's an absolute pleasure to work with. Very creative, very honest guy. If you check out in the description below, we'll put a link to Luke's pages so you can find him there. Luke, thanks very much. Thanks for having me.